Hello, good day, geometry. We are starting our deep dive into the various shapes that fall under the parallelogram and quadrilateral umbrellas. The first up being a rhombus. And yesterday we talked about kind of those 5 characteristics that make up a parallelogram. Because a rhombus is a parallelogram, those 5 things will all be true. Okay, so we know that for a rhombus, opposite sides are parallel, as is true with all other parallelograms. Okay. We also know that opposite sides are what? Congruent. Okay. We know that, what else? What else is true about a parallelogram, therefore, is true about a rhombus? Caleb? Opposite angles are congruent. Okay. We have one more to do with angles, and then one more to do with, one to do with the diagonals. What else is true about the angles of any parallelogram? Adam? Okay, adjacent angles are supplementary. And what about the diagonals? What's true about the diagonals of any parallelogram? Yeah.
Diagonals bisect each other.
The diagonals bisect each other. The diagonals bisect each other. So then, what makes a rhombus special, right? Like what this is what a rhombus has in common with other shapes. What makes it special? Okay. Well, one of those special features. What? Who said what now? Gino, what?
I said his red hair.
Oh. Morning for you. What separates a rhombus from other parallelograms? Number 1, all 4 sides are congruent. Okay. All 4 sides are congruent. The other 2 have to do with the diagonals. Okay. In a rhombus, the diagonals are perpendicular. All right, in a rhombus, the diagonals are perpendicular, meaning that, let's try and draw a rhombus here, okay? When the diagonals intersect, they do so at a 90-degree angle, which, knowing that those diagonals intersect at a 90-degree angle, means what type of triangles do we have on the interior of a rhombus? Right triangles, which means that when I ask you to find side lengths or angle measures, what sorts of things are you going to be using? Pythagorean theorem, sine, cosine, tangents, 30, 60, 45, 35. Michael, warning for you. Okay, those things that we just got done going over in our last unit are the things you're going to be using in this one to solve for side angles.
No.
Solve for side angles.
We all gotta get super short
varsity.
pants. Oh yeah.
Wow. Taking a look at who just left the room, that's a lot of all baseball players. Am I right? I feel like they'll be productive now. Okay. Diagonals are perpendicular. The other piece, the diagonals bisect each pair of opposite angles. Okay. The diagonals bisect each pair of opposite angles. What that means is that you've got your rhombus here. That's not very rhombus-like. That's more trapezoidal. Okay. Each pair of diagonals will bisect.
Annika, Steve, could you please come back to the office? Annika, Steve, back to the office. Thanks.
Okay. Will bisect each pair of opposite angles. So what does that tell you about the four triangles that are created within a rhombus with the diagonals? Well, maybe we'll come across that when we do our practice work down below here. Okay, but be prepared when we go through these. Everything in your toolbox is fair game to use here. Pythagorean theorem, 45, 45, 30, 60, sine, cosine, tangent, everything. Okay, but when you're talking about a rhombus, all 8 of these things are true. That's a lot of things, right? That's a lot of relationships there. So when you're asked to find a side length or an angle measure or whatever, be thinking about everything here. Which one of these 8 can I use to help me? So let's look down below. Use a diagram of rhombus ABCD to answer the questions. We have, what is the measure of angle DAC? What is the length of DB? What is the measure of AED, AC, ADC, AE, AD, and then a question at the end. We have 20 minutes remaining. I'm going to give you 10 minutes to work in groups. I'll pause the video, and then we'll come back and talk about how you decide to tackle these things here. Okay? If you're using sine, cosine, tangent, make sure your calculators are in degree mode. I'll pause the video. We'll come back to it soon. 3, 2, 1. You are quiet. Okay. So, like we talked about, all 8 of those characteristics from above are going to help you answer these questions here. So, when I ask you for the measure of angle DAC, okay, DAC is this angle right here. What's that going to be? Who's able to figure out and then explain how you know? DAC, that angle up there in the corner. What is it?
So, DAC would be angle 53.
Why would it be 53?
So, all of the triangles in a rhombus are congruent.
Okay.
So, the 53 that we get from the first triangle was in the same position.
So, you are correct. Which of the 8 above properties can you use to directly get that 53 there? Which property applies to that situation? Which of the 8 properties? Yeah.
Diagonals bisect each pair of opposite angles.
Right. The diagonals bisect each pair of opposite angles, right? So this diagonal here, AC, we know that it bisects this angle, which means that those 2 pieces are congruent. Therefore, you know it's 53, right? What Joey said isn't wrong there, okay? But this is the property from above that directly applies to this. So if you get stuck, take a look at what we wrote. What's true about every rhombus, okay? And then make sure that you either jot those down on a help sheet, right? Or memorize them for the test, right? What is DB? What is DB? What did you come up with for that? DB, Caleb?
16.
Why is DB 16? DB, of course, would be this segment going all the way across.
Because DE is 8 and DE is half of DB.
Right. Which property above has to do with this situation? Joey?
Diagonals bisect each other.
Diagonals bisect each other, right? Which means that this point E is the midpoint of both DB and AC. It is the midpoint of DB, and DE is 8, EB is also 8 for a total of 16. Okay? Let's look at AED. This is where things really start to get fun here. Maybe not AED. AC. Let's look at AC. This segment here. How are you going to go about calculating that? How are you going to go about calculating that? Keeping in mind that we've already determined that angle DAC is 53, and that EB is 8. Might be helpful. Will?
Find what AE is.
Find what AE is, right? If we can figure out what AE is, we can double it, and that's going to give us AC, okay? How do we figure out what AE is? Sine, cosine, tangent. Why are you allowed to use sine, cosine, tangent here? James, where's the right angle? How do you know it's a right angle? Which property above tells us?
The diagonals are perpendicular.
Right. Knowing the diagonals are perpendicular tells you that you've got a right angle here. And if you've got a right angle and triangle, all of those tools from last unit come thrusting in, right? We can use Pythagorean theorem. We can use sine, cosine, tangent, which is what we're using here. Our given angle is 53. The side we have is 8. The opposite side, the side we want, Will said, let's find AE. There's your adjacent side. Which are you using? Which ratio includes opposite and adjacent? Tangent. So you can set up tangent of 53 equals the opposite side 8 over adjacent side AE, whatever, we'll just call it N, and you can go to town. Okay? So all those things that we've done previously, be thinking about them, be using them to solve for these lengths in this rhombus. I can tell you that your test is going to be this exact kind of thing. I'm going to give you a rhombus. I'm going to ask you for sides and angles. You will have to use the right triangle theorems to find the answers. Okay? This unit pairs directly with what we just did with right triangles. So you'll need to write down all these properties. You'll also need to come in knowing the Pythagorean theorem, all that sort of stuff. Okay? All right. Your homework is to finish this page. It will not be due until Tuesday, since tomorrow I only see half of you. We have all weekend to work on it. Khan Academy is due tomorrow as well. Yes, indeed. 5 minutes left to work. Have a great day, folks. That's all I've got for you.